1877 Northern Arizona Territory. Three men are walking deep within a wooded area of rural Arizona Territory near an outlet that leads into a ravine between two large mountainous plateaus with a distinctive reddish hue. Armed with pistols, rifles, tools, and large burlap sacks, the three men are walking down a small trail apart from where they stationed their horses and wagon, with a trusted companion named Whiskey Tim, who will oversee the stationed equipment and animals. The leader of the gang is a man called Silver, who is named this because of his uncanny ability to always have or find the elemental metal silver, and not to mention his shining silver tooth that is part of his trademark smile. With a shining silver tooth smile on his face, Silver explains to the men, "My silver mine is getting close, boys, so keep an eye out for any potential prospectors, bandits, any hostile Apache, and stay alert for any mountain lions and venomous snakes and lizards in this unexplored wilderness." Showing extreme caution and slight fear, the men approach an old abandoned campsite that looks to be ransacked and destroyed. Upon further investigation, it looks like there had been a party of travelers who may have discovered the abandoned silver mine, but their camp may have been raided, possibly by the local hostile Apache tribe, and the party might have been kidnapped, or worse. The Apache were a fearsome and hostile indigenous warrior tribe of Arizona, constantly at war with the U.S. cavalry at the time. The Apache were driven out of their native homeland in Texas by the even more hostile and ruthless Comanche. The Comanche were the most feared and hostile indigenous peoples on the whole wild frontier of the expanding United States territories. The Comanche war parties would go on raids during full moons called Comanche moons, where the Comanche warriors would steal livestock and horses from the settled townspeople while murdering, kidnapping, torturing, and enslaving the inhabitants of the new towns being built by people who were then settling on Comanche territory. The Comanche became master horsemen after they migrated to the Texas territory and adapted the horses brought to the Americas by Spanish conquistadors in the 17th century. They were in a consistent battle with the well-known Texas Rangers hired by the provisional government to protect the settlers, who were then encroaching on Comanche land. It was believed that the Comanche were under the idea that they gained supernatural powers from what they called puha medicine power. This so-called puha would lead the Comanche and Apache warriors to believe they were impervious to bullets and Western weapons, while gaining mystical strength and powers because of their so-called belief in puha medicine power and their magic rituals. Investigating the campsite, the men noticed large footprints of a bipedal animal with an estimated foot length of 18 to 20 inches. "What are those? Bear prints? They must have been attacked by bears," exclaims one man. Looking closely at the footprints, they realize that it might have been more than one creature ransacking through the camp, causing the destruction. "No bear can walk on two legs like that, right?" Silver says. They find the body of a deceased man, huddled over by a tree, in a position that looks like his back had been broken by an extreme bear hug. "His back, it's broken," one man whimpers. Silver looks cautiously around and tells the men to gather what equipment they can loot and keep moving. The men scavenge for what remnants they could find in the aftermath of this apparent raided camp, but realize most of the valuables oddly have not been taken. Later, they come across what looks like a large burrow made from vegetation and fallen trees that resembles a nest for a very large animal. Cautiously, they move on, encouraged by Silver's words, and soon enough, they reach their destination, the abandoned silver mine. Danger and do not enter signs litter the entrance to a mountain cave with closed-off wooden gates decaying from time. Sitting between the two mountainous plateaus is the entrance to the abandoned silver mine. Summing up their bravery, the men enter with their guns drawn and lanterns lit. As they further into the mine, one of the members of the gang by the name of Charlie begins to argue with Silver about the danger that he has gotten them into without fully explaining the details. "Well, then you can go back to robbing banks and wagons again, Charlie, because there's plenty of danger in that," Silver yells back. The gang walk further down a dark corridor of the abandoned mine, towards where Silver last remembers his previous visit. Silver explains he needs the two men to help him remove debris from a dynamite explosion and to help excavate pure silver while carrying the stash out of the mine. Silver didn't give the men full details of the expedition, and he even went as far as blindfolding all of the men while they rode inside the stagecoach mud wagon, traveling along the Colorado River on an old abandoned trail until they reached the outside of the secret location, all so that they would not know the way to the abandoned silver mine. They did all this with the promise that Silver would pay them large amounts of pure silver bullion as payment for their help, as he has done in previous expeditions. Silver starts to explain to the men the full details of the mission. He explains that the last time he was here, excavating silver ore, he had bled the main silver vein dry and needed to find another source of silver deeper and further in the crevices of the abandoned and unexplored caves within the silver mine. He tells them that he trenched through the deep crevices and narrow passageways into uncharted areas of the mine deep within the mountain cave and spotted a shining reflection of light emitting from a crack in the cave wall that was reflecting the light of his lantern and catching his eye. Only pure silver could have such reflective properties against light like that, more than any other precious metal, and for sure, that signifies a vein of natural silver ore. It's normally a specific type of silver ore found here that causes a natural spiral and wire-like formation called wire silver, but looking closely at the shining reflection, I could tell it was from a metallic deposit of pure native silver bullion already naturally formed, like it's been smelted pure. A rare find in this area, but it has been discovered before in a natural native state like that. It's a prospect that could reap vast amounts of wealth, Silver explains, with no actual way to reach the shining reflection through crevices past rocky slag and shale of the mountain from which this mine was dug from. I removed my explosive dynamite sticks from my satchel and chiseled holes deep into the walls of the caves. There, I placed the sticks of explosives so that I might blow the walls up and retrieve any recovered silver. I knew that a loud explosion might draw attention from other prospectors who might be in the area looking for gold and silver deposits to seek riches from, so I had to act quick if any new silver was to be retrieved. I spooled out a long detonation cord that gave me a few minutes to escape into an area that was safe. Then I lit the cord and ran. A loud, thunderous boom sounds off, subtly vibrating all the trees on the top of a mountainous plateaus, scattering birds into the air as they fly high past the top of two mountains and through an overpass, going down hundreds of yards extending into canyons, miles wide, that stretch as far as the eye can see. Like a giant flood, washed through the land from ancient times. A view of the sacred area, known in modern times as the Grand Canyon. The explosion was loud and shook the mountain and walls like no other. Having experience in detonation and mining from previous expeditions, I knew that I may have over-embellished with the dynamite, and there was a good chance the mountain caved in where there were only narrow passageways. As I tried to make my way back to where I saw that shining bright reflection of which I could only be certain was the purest deposit of that blessed metallic silver, my suspicion was right, and I saw that a large portion of the wall had fallen down, completely blocking the part of the cave that I had to reach. Piles of large stone and rubble now lay in front of the entranceway, specifically 2 large stones that would take the strength of at least 2 to 3 men to move. I knew that by myself, I didn't have the strength to move these massive boulders, and I would need the help of trusted friends from whom I would have to share this find with. It was then I decided to confide in... "Hold up!" Charlie interrupts Silver with an annoyed and skeptical tone. "You aren't confiding in shit. You blindfolded us and are just telling us this now. You guaranteed us silver ready to be harvested, and you just needed help moving it. I see no silver, only danger." Charlie and Silver have been traveling together for quite some time. They first met by chance of fate while taking the Union Pacific Railroad, traveling from New York City to Sacramento, California. They both left their homes in pursuit of finding fortune, like thousands of others during and after the historic California gold rush. Many prospectors would find fortune in gold and silver by setting up mines across the United States territories for ore extraction and smelting. The discovery of silver on the other side of the Sierras in Nevada brought an end to the California gold rush and a new rush towards silver. It wouldn't be till they met again by chance that they would form a trusted friendship while on an expedition to the Grand Canyon to find uncharted land with hopes to stumble upon vast amounts of rare silver deposits. They both heard about the vast amounts of open land and huge canyons from famous expeditions of brave explorers going up the Colorado River and publishing their findings for newspapers across the United States. A one-armed Civil War veteran named John Wesley Powell and 9 companions steered wooden boats for 1,000 miles on the Colorado River and through the canyon. Charlie and Silver both had the idea that these uncharted lands would most certainly provide a wealthy yield of silver that would make them rich. Charlie and Silver both left California by taking the Southern Pacific Railroad into Arizona Territory, and by chance, they happened to meet each other again, with the same goals in mind, yet again, coincidentally, taking the same train at the same time. The 333 to Yuma. In Yuma, they formed the Silver Gang to secure their protection while they searched for gold and silver prospects. The Colorado River that runs along the town of Yuma would be their ticket towards the Grand Canyon, and there they set their minds for adventure in the historic American Wild West. The Union Pacific Railroad, which subsequently joined with the Central Pacific Railroad in Utah, signaled the linking of the American continent by the Transcontinental Railroad. This advancement in technology gave average city people like Charlie and Silver the ability to pioneer the vast outdoors of the Wild West by simply buying a few train tickets and patiently waiting while enjoying the view. Many people would head out west with hopes of finding promising land to settle and prospects of fortune and fame. With the new expansion of the Pacific Railroad into Arizona Territory, Silver and Charlie both had it in their idea to catch the next train to Yuma. The third wheel, following not far behind the two, is a rugged outdoors man named Jebediah. Jebediah was a well-known mountain man who had a reputation of being able to survive in any of the harshest conditions for the longest periods of time. A true and hardened mountain man like the legendary Daniel Boone, Kit Carson, Hugh Glass, Jim Bridger, and other well-known frontiersmen pioneers. Without the knowledge, experience, and true grit of men like Jebediah, Silver and Charlie wouldn't stand a fair chance against the harsh elements and dangerous environments of the Old West. Silver was known for hiring these types of men for his expeditions, as well as experienced Hopi and Navajo animal trackers, by paying them in pure silver bullion. "Now, I ain't going to tell you again, Charlie. I've been pulling silver from this mine for quite some time. I saw that pure silver shining with my own eyes. I know what my eyes saw, and I wouldn't be wasting our time now," explained Silver. "Then tell us how you found this mine then. "How long you been pulling silver from here, Silver?" Charlie asks in response. "It was about 3 months ago when I discovered it," Silver reveals. "I remember later that night after discovering the mine, I was celebrating with some whiskey and buying a few fellas some drinks while looking up at the full moon, shining like a silver coin, and I gave it a toast. Earlier that day, I had just spent my last coin on a bad hand of poker at the Travelers Tavern Inn. I was ready to head back to Yuma from another failed attempt at finding a lost and abandoned silver mine I kept hearing about from the locals. All my money and silver had been spent on bad hands and whiskey. I only had enough to assure myself back home, had I needed it. The locals spoke of a silver mine that was abandoned because of a tunnel collapse with silver ore ready to be processed and smelted into silver bullion. There were a few workers who died in the collapse, and the place was now supposedly haunted. On my last day there, I decided to go for one last expedition into the wilderness to look for the lost mine before I headed back. That's when luck would find me. I also heard the lore from an animal tracker that I hire on my deer hunts. The massive, undefeated Hopi warrior and medicine man named Iron Mountain. He said that the mine is haunted and that local tribes are afraid to venture near it because of the missing people, rumored to have wandered too close to the dilapidated ruins and never returned. He said his tribal elder shaman tells stories of an entrance to the underworld that is directly linked to that abandoned silver mine located within the mountain, and that creatures from another world inhabit its inner dwelling. According to his Hopi prophecy, the Grand Canyon is the location of a portal between the underworld and the corporeal world, where mankind supposedly emerged onto the Earth's surface. They call this entrance Sipapu. Iron Mountain then told me that his elder shaman stated that many years ago, a magic sorcerer sealed the entrance to the underworld so that the abominable creatures that dwell within cannot breach into the mortal world of the living.